Hello and welcome to Joseph's KC Night School class. Tonight on this video we're going to be working on NS number 9. I got a little semi-creative with the numbering and the design of it. Probably won't do that one again, but that is number 9 we're working on. So we're going to again do the guided practice at the top. Follow along with me on your worksheet. You should already be open there. If not, pause it. Flip over to NS9 and hit play. So number 1 says to simplify 5 to the negative second power. Step 1 is going to be to convert it into a fraction. Most of you know this. To turn into a fraction, put it over 1. B. Multiply both sides by 1, but don't solve it just yet. This is what I mean by that. And we'll explain, you'll understand why in just a minute. Just like that. Now in this case, I didn't actually multiply both sides by 1 because the bottom was just 1 by itself. But the top, we're going to do that because it doesn't have just a plain 1 by itself, and that's going to help us out later. Okay, C. Flip anything with a negative exponent and multiply. So in this case, we only have one thing that has a negative exponent, one base that has a negative exponent. So we're going to flip it from one side to the other and multiply. So this negative 5 to the negative 2, we're now going to put on the bottom, and we're going to multiply it by whatever's on the bottom. That 1 there. That's what I mean by multiply. And that 1 up there is going to stay up there. Some of you might be catching on why we put that 1 up there to begin with. If you haven't, that's fine. It'll become more clear as we go on. D. Throw out any negative symbols attached to an exponent and then solve. Just the symbol, not the number. What do I mean by that? So we're going to rewrite this problem. 1 over 5 to the positive 2 times 1. We threw out the symbol. Now we've got to solve. We've got to simplify. 1 over 5 to the second power is 25. Times 1 is just plain 25. So we are done. Problem number 2. Second verse, same as the first. That means we're doing the same thing over again. It looks a little different, but it's not. Let's see. So first we are going to turn into a fraction. And you might notice I've gotten rid of the parentheses. You don't have to do that. If you prefer to have the parentheses there, makes you feel better, go for it. Won't hurt you, won't mess you up, won't help you, won't hurt you. Do whatever you like. I like to get rid of them because I can work it out in my mind without the parentheses. If you can't, no problem. Won't even really slow you down that much. Next step is to continue putting it into a fraction if it's not a fraction already. Some of them will be fractions already, and you'll see how that works later on tonight. Now the next part is to multiply by 1 anything that isn't just 1 by itself. Next step, flip any numbers that have a negative exponent. This is not tripping us up yet. We're not ignoring it, but it's just not relevant yet. And multiply whatever else might be there. This 1 still there. It doesn't get lost. Next step, toss out the negative symbols on the exponent and exponent only. This bad boy ain't going anywhere. Okay, and simplify problem means we can't just leave it as an exponent, so we're going to have to solve the whole thing out. So 1 over negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times 1. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So that's going to leave us with 1 over 8, and it's negative. Some of you might be asking, wait a minute, shouldn't it be 1 over negative 8? Yeah, but it's the same thing. If you've got a fraction and one side is negative, the other side's positive, positive and a negative equals a negative if you divide it, right? So that's why it's the same thing. If you had a negative 1 and a negative 8, then you'd have a problem, because then negative is positive. That's not the case here. So one side is positive, one side is negative, the whole thing's negative. Problem number 3. Problem number 3 says to simplify a fraction with a negative exponent. This is very easy. We're going to actually practice this twice tonight. So first, we're going to distribute the exponent. A lot of people don't do that, and they do something else. I've seen a lot of other things that are really difficult. This is not. First step is distribute the exponent. So we're going to take that 2 over 3, rewrite it, and see that negative 3, we're going to distribute it to both sides. Then we're going to multiply both sides by 1 without solving it. This is actually no different than what we've kind of been doing. But it's going to underscore why it's so important. We do this, multiply both sides by 1. Finally, we're going to flip all numbers that have a negative exponent and then multiply. So in that case, we have 2 numbers this time. So draw your line first, it'll make things easier. Then take the 2 and the negative 3, flip it. The 3 and the negative 3, flip it. And then we're going to have to be continued because they ran out of space. Through the magic of editing, I'm back after a slight interruption. Throw out any negative symbols still on the exponents, then solve. So as you can see, we got rid of the exponents. Now we're going to go ahead and solve. So 3 times itself 3 times. 3 over 2 times 2 times 2. No matches, so multiply away. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 equals 27. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. That's improper. We cannot have an improper fraction because it specifically told us to simplify. So improper is no good. So let's go ahead and make it a mixed numeral. How are you going to do it? Top divided by bottom. You have to divide. 27, 8. Now this is where you can use your multiplication table. Look on the rows or the columns. On the edges and find an 8 and just follow it till you find the closest thing to 27 without going over, which you should find would be 8 times 3, because 8 times 3 is 24. So you would go at 8 all the way until you see 24. You'll notice that 8 times 3 is 24. Then you can divide away, subtract is 3. Now for improper to mixed number, we get to go 3rd grade style. Oops, that's a B. With remainder. So that's your remainder. Now here's you're going to write your fraction. This is your whole number. Fraction. This goes on top. This goes on bottom. And you're done. Okay, this is just like number 3, except that the first step has already been done with you. But the exponents are different, but that's okay. So there's no distribution necessary because there's no exponent on the outside of the parentheses. So let's go ahead and start to solve it. First step is we're going to multiply both sides by 1. Then that's going to force us to now flip it. And notice I haven't said anything at all about them being the same basis. Doesn't matter yet. It will in a little bit though. And then 2 and negative 2 times 1. Now we can get rid of the negative symbols attached to the exponents. And now we can safely get rid of these ones here. Now there's one more thing. You might be thinking, okay, so now I've got to simplify. So I got to find out 2 to the 5th power and 2 to the 2nd power. Actually, I can save you a little bit of work and teach you a valuable lesson. Let's factor these out. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 and one more. And then 2 to the 2nd power, 2 to the 2nd power. And some of you might be saying, why are we writing this out? Because any matches can cancel out. We don't have to multiply this now. Don't forget the ninja rule. If there's nothing on one side or the other, there needs to be something there, so throw a 1 in. Don't just assume 0. If it's 0, the problem will tell you 0. But the problem didn't tell me 0. It just says nothing there. So the ninja one pops in. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 over 1 equals just plain 8. And that's it. Pretty simple lesson. Go ahead and continue to do the problems on the bottom half of this worksheet. Just like normal, do not go on to the homework assignments until I specifically tell you to do so in class. Thank you.